In this video, I'm going to take you through the psychology of business-to-business marketing online. What makes it effective, and how do we influence customers' thinking, actions, and eventual purchase? Now, there's a huge body of science on this, and these are the principles that we've applied for the last decade. I'm very proud to say we have a 100% never missed record of redoing websites and landing pages and having an increase in the amount of inquiries you generate. That's without spending more money on advertising, but what I'm going to talk about actually flows into advertising as well, and I'll make those tie-ins for you. What's important to know is that almost everything I'm about to talk about is missed or just simply not known by agencies and in particular designers. And I don't know why. I guess science is like that. There's a lot of information out there and people seldom use it. But this is what we use, and I can stand behind everything I'm going to present. Now, before I get into my own notes, and these are notes from the book that I'm going to be publishing, what's really important to keep in your mind, if you take nothing else away, is that people are adverse to risk. What we're trying to do is avoid it. Is avoid hard work, avoid the chance of being wrong, both for business reasons, which are very logical, and emotional levels that are very illogical. And for that reason, everything I talk about right now is getting rid of that tension people feel. You felt it before, you felt it yourself. You go to make a purchase, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, something doesn't feel right about this. The guy spoke to me wrong, the price is wrong, I'm not sure whether it's tailored correctly. What will it shrink? All of these are frictions we feel in our day-to-day life. Well, when it comes to B2B, there's more people involved with bigger numbers, there's more on the table. So this is absolutely critical. This is the foundation of what makes a successful website, successful advertising, successful sales in general. So without further ado, what is the most important statistic here? 57% of the buying journey happens before the the customer reaches out to the vendor. This is very different to the way that we perceive it, because we perceive it that someone has need and they just go, hey, can I get a quote? Can you help me with this? But nowadays we live in an age where information is proliferated. There are many, many, many options. And there's so many websites. How many times have you been to a website only to find out after 10 minutes they're not going to work for you? So what customers do is they go and research all these different channels. In fact, predominantly websites, Google and search engine reviews, comparison sites, peer reviews, industry case studies, even social media. And they come up with, on average, 7 different websites to review. And they're trying to, from those 7 websites, narrow down to one, maybe none if they all feel bad, gives them the most emotional confidence. A really good graphic for this is this one here, because there is both the rational and emotional mind. And they want to make sure that if I make this decision, is it going to come back to bite me? Either if I'm the owner in my pocket, or if I'm an employee, I risk my chance of promotion, of a job, of just being told I'm bad. As a side note, I actually specialized in motivational theory when I was a student. And that last one, around getting positive and negative feedback from your peers, absolutely critical and often overlooked. The bigger the purchase decision, the more people are involved in the process. So this is a chart that we use, which is very, very effective for understanding just how detailed this is going to be. Is it high spend or low spend? That is determined by, is it 5% or more of the money they have allocated to this area of their business? If it is it a low strategic importance? For example, like a utility, okay, you just need it, it's kind of inelastic. Or is it like plant equipment or software or bigger things? In which case it's very high strategic importance. And what that's going to dictate is how many people are in the process. If it's low strategic importance, there'll be like 3, mainly mid-level, maybe a couple of C-suite sort of people. But if it's high strategic importance, it's likely a lot of people are involved. Now, one of the things you might be thinking right now is, well, hang on, that's going to depend on the industry. For a farmer, it's very much an individual purchase versus someone who runs a whole agricultural technology center. Yeah, absolutely true. This is only generalization. But even if there's only one person involved, it helps us to think about how sensitive they are to different things. And so to come back to what's really important here, through both our website and our advertising, we want to be giving them everything which removes the frictions that they feel in the purchase decision process. Okay, let me give a practical example, and then I'm going to take you through the 9 frictions that people are looking out for. Before I do the practical, we invented a thing called the hybrid homepage. And what it was a single page designed to replace your homepage that we could A/B test. And we could show our customers, if you apply this, you will immediately see an increase in the amount of leads based on your traffic. It later became an absolute enormous product for exactly that. It reduced the risk, let everyone do things very, very quickly, and then they could build out the rest of the site. We had a 100% success rate with increasing conversion rate because we were using the science. But one thing we also knew was that the homepage of the website was the most visited of all of the pages. It's the most powerful. When the customer has, on average, 7 tabs of competitors open, they're going through each of them and giving them just 3 seconds to quickly scan, mostly the header, but down the page a little bit, to see 2 things. Very subconsciously, does this solve my problem? If I am searching for a watch repair company, do they straight out of the box say, we repair, I don't know, Seiko watches? I don't really know watches. Or does it seem like they might be a watch store? If it's the second, I'm probably going to delete it immediately. I just want to know they solved my problem. And secondly, very emotionally driven, does it look like my brain can trust it? We're not talking about the subjective nature of, is this pink enough? That's beside the bucket. What's really important is the psychology of what our brain accepts as the right amount of stimuli to feel confident, to feel like this is the right place to be. And I won't get into the design concept, but they need to feel safe. Just by doing those 2 things, and admittedly also a very clear call to action, which I'm not going to go into the science of how to create a form that works, we saw a massive increase in conversion rate. In fact, we just released the new Wealth Safe website. Absolutely crazy results. This is after we had already once before done this and had a massive spike in inquiry rates. Using more data, I think this is 4 or 5 years on now, we created a new website and we saw a 250% increase in leads. On mobile, that increased by 400%. In other words, they were getting 2.5 times more leads for every dollar they spent on advertising. Nothing else changed, just the website, and it was phenomenal. So how do we keep doing this? What are the 9 things that we need to pay attention to? Well, they're broken down here. I'll just put them down on a different page to make it easy. Ooh, no I won't. There we go, let's put it here. There are 9 frictions. I'm going to go through them very quickly. But keep in mind, as I'm reading these, that it's not just a question of, are these on the website? And specifically in one place, preferably the homepage where we can see most of them. But also, are we then following people up with our advertising? So how are we building these into each of the touch points of our business? And I'll talk about remarketing in a second, which is the easiest version of this. Product performance, the wholeness of the solution. So if someone comes to me with wanting my product, they've probably got a laundry list of ideas in their head of what it actually needs to do. Some are conscious, some are subconscious. So we need to make sure that they can see how this solution, it's not just a home loan, it's a home loan plus all of these extra features. And this applies, I could apply that to any example, but it's not just a car. It's a car that makes me feel cool. It's a car that if I wreck it is guaranteed, it's cheap to fix. It's all sorts of different things. They want to see the wholeness of the solution. And most specifically, does it solve the problem? We're going to talk about in a second, has it solved the problem for people like them? This is critical. Expertise. They want to know that you're an expert. You're not just reselling someone else's stuff. You know the stuff inside out. I have a client of ours, he's been with us for a very, very long time, maybe 12 or 15 years. And he sells earth mover tires. We're talking about tires that are bigger than the house you're sitting in right now. And they could buy them from a million different places. He's a guy working out of his garage. He's just an agent. But he knows tires inside out. And when you call him and say, I want this sort of tire, he'll say, what's the purpose for? Well, that's a gravel tire. And you're working in mud, so it's not going to work. You should consider X. Keep in mind, these tires are hundreds of thousands of dollars each, and they come to him for that expertise. So it's a question of how do we display that expertise, both through our website and through our advertising. Product durability. Will it last? And how do we show that? Now, there are many different ways to show that, but how? How do I know that this is going to be better? And by doing that, we are out-positioning anyone else who has a competing product. If it's a shed that we're selling to a farmer, well, will this last longer than the shed that goes to someone else? Or at least if it's the same, can we stand behind it? Which again, you're going to see comes up here. Product pricing is a really, really overseen one. How many times have you gone to a website and they won't tell you their pricing? You've got to inquire. And what do? You leave. 9 times out of 10, you leave because you're worried that if they're not showing you, it's going to be terrible. Well, what the research shows is you don't need to show exactly how much it is. A lot of times you can't. We can't. We can't for a website, a small website or a big website. They're totally different. But you can give people an idea in case studies or in many other formats what sort of money range you're looking at. And that is enough. People don't even need you to be the cheapest. In fact, again, the research is very, very clear on this. You don't need it to be the cheapest. They just need to feel like they're not going to be surprised. Production capacity. Can you deliver what you promise? If I order today, can you actually implement? It wouldn't matter if that was a product or a service, it's the same. And as part of that, can you do it in a timely manner? So it's a really good idea to give people an idea of what the flow of implementation looks like and how many days they would be looking at. That's so important for anything which is in any way driven by a service. Now this one here I can't stress enough. If I was to deal with one single thing on this whole list, similar clients would be the one. What the data here shows, and this is what a lot of people get wrong, is people want to see similar customers to them, their peers, using it. And I can relate to this myself. When I see people espousing how amazing software is, the only thing I want to know is, has another agency that I consider to be my peer used it and had success? Because I couldn't care if McDonald's has. I just couldn't care. They're just not us, so it's not relevant to me. And so we want to make sure that we are showcasing, in particular on websites, and I'll show you in a second through remarketing and social media, similar clients and the results they've generated. Another massively overlooked one, customer service. If we have a problem, can someone help me today? How do they know this? And finally, if there's a problem, do you stand behind your work? Do I have a recourse of action or is my money gone? You can imagine that friction. If I'm going to put up all this cash, how can I make sure I'm not just going to lose it? Or if I'm an employee, how can you make sure I'm not going to get fired? Well, return policy or a guarantee or even just showing how well you've done for other people in the past really makes a difference. So how do we use advertising to do this? Well, there's a few things. So I've shown here how Google reviews are critically important. If someone's actually got you in their sites and they're thinking, final decision, well, how many reviews have they got with people saying real honest comments about how wonderful you are? That is just an easy win. It's also highly influenceable. But here's something that is less commonly looked at. The use of detailed case studies on your website and then cutting these up into, these are both remarketing banners and social media banners. What we love to do with our customers is create these detailed case studies, creating a page on their website or even a section on the homepage which goes through them, and then cut all of that information up into a year's worth of remarketing banners, social media banners, basically anywhere that you can get these touch points. Because if you think about these frictions, what these case studies are doing is they're showing the product performance for similar clients, they're explaining your expertise through employment, they're giving the product, showing the product durability, because hey, it's helped that person for say 5 years, might even be giving product pricing, don't know. It's implying that you're able to deliver what you say you're able to. And even sometimes you can work in customer service, not always. So this is such an easy win. So in summary, when we're talking business to business advertising, it is more about removing the friction than it is about selling what you're going to get. And this is the one thing which agencies world over miss. This is the central thesis of everything which we do at JMarketing and why it's been able to generate all of the results that it generates. In terms of process and the way that we do it, we have a very structured way of interviewing you to get that idea of information and then applying through a logic of research and data analysis, then to go bang, 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 bang. Here's all the different things we need to attack. Here's the resources we have to attack them, and we put together the whole plan. Whether it's the website, whether it's a single page of the website, or whether it is all of the advertising strategy. We're the central repository of that. We do everything, and we manage the whole process, giving you those learnings, and with a 100% success rate over the last 10 years of improving the number of leads you generate. That's what we do. If you've got any questions, I would love to answer them. So please email me, set a call with me, anything that suits you. I can't wait to pick up this conversation and keep going. Thanks very much. See ya.